Welcome to Alaska Matters with Chris Story. To reach Chris, call 226-3933. 226-3933. Now, giving you something to talk about, here's Chris Story.
No, you're my Smoopy. No, Smoopy. No, you are. No, it's you. Okay, Dad, the show's about to start. I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. What? Don't judge me. How dare you judge my relationship with my father? That's private. All right, folks. This is Alaska Matters. I'm Christopher Story, your host for Great Adventures in the Last Frontier. Today on the program, we're going to be talking all about signs. We're going to explore signs for your business, signs of the times, signs of what the role of government ought to be in business development, business growth, large or small. Should the Planning and Zoning Department take the welfare of the economy into consideration when making recommendations to the council regarding things like signs, building sizes, or planning in general? Is planning about planning for growth and prosperity or prevention? Do we have a planning commission or a prevention commission? What do you think? Do you think your due process is being hindered by the new sign ordinance here in Homer? Do you think sandwich board signs are an eyesore and a bother to you? Do you think that they pose a threat to safety, that unless they contain a civic message, that is, they're a safety issue? I want to know what you think. For me, I like them. Sandwich board signs I'm talking about, I like them. You can identify a business that's open easily. You can determine specials or watch for upcoming events. What about sandwich board signs announcing tickets for sale at the Homer Chamber? I still don't know whether that's considered a civic event or not. And if it's okay for civic events, why not for you and I with our private business, for-profit business? I'm not sure. Call in and speak your mind. We do want to hear from you. It's your show. Alaska matters, and so do you. And that's our tagline, and it's never been more true than today. How can you get involved? You can call the program, 226-3933, 226-3933. Share your opinion on the sign ordinance. We'll be going through what the City Planning Commission did right. I think they should be applauded for some aspects of what they've done. I have a couple of missed opportunities that I'll be sharing with you that I hope they will take into consideration at the council level. And there's definitely some wrong things with this proposed ordinance. So I'll be going over all of that. We have with us today also Blackwater Bend Mind Bender. Your chance to win a free coffee card to Blackwater Bend, and all you've got to do is call 226-3933 when we pose the question, and you might win yourself a free coffee card. Don't forget, it can be used for more than coffee. So listen, folks, Alaska matters, and so do you. Here at Story Real Estate, the number again, 226-3933. Tiffany standing by. All 7 lines, all 6 lines are open. Got a few people standing by. Here's your sign. Matters of importance are Alaska matters.
The Caribou Family Restaurant looks great after their remodel, and it's still open daily, 6 a.m. till 10 at Lake Street and Pioneer Avenue in Homer, and open 24 hours daily in Soldotna at the corner of K Beach Road and the Sterling Highway. The Caribou Family Restaurant features prime rib on Friday and Saturday nights. Breakfast or lunch, any time of the day. The Caribou Family Restaurant in Homer and in Soldotna, open every day of the year, where friends and family meet.
Alaska Matters is brought to you in part by Blackwater Bend, keeping Alaska awake and perky for over 10 years. On the Sterling Highway, halfway between Homer and Anchor Point, your year-round headquarters for expertly crafted coffee and tasty treats. Make Blackwater Bend your coffee shop. Hey, what's your name?
My name is Bobby Triplett. I am a barista here at the Blackwater Bend. My favorite drink for the season is a raspberry barista. We are open from 5 a.m. in the morning, crack of dawn, till 7 p.m. at night.
An amazing opportunity in the heart of Homer awaits you. Deborah Lysick at Bay Realty wants to tell you about a prime location on Pioneer Avenue, a 5,600 square foot building with land to make your Homer dream come true. Make it what you need, business, home, or both. Deborah at Bay Realty is excited about the possibilities with this building and location. It can be a restaurant, a pizza shop, retail shops, newspaper office, bed and breakfast, coffee shop with lodging. The ideas go on and on. The half-acre yard in the back's beautiful. It could be a pleasant outside restaurant or play area or a peaceful resting spot for you and your guests. Remember, it's in downtown Homer on Pioneer Avenue, town center in more ways than one. The views are beautiful. Plus, it's a prime location on Pioneer Avenue and parade viewing spot. Call Deborah Lysick at Bay Realty for detailed information today at 235-6183. 235-6183. When you need results, Bay Realty.
You're listening to Alaska Matters. I'm Christopher Story. Thanks for joining us today here at KGTL 620 AM. Now, remember that if you miss any portion of the program or you want to listen back to this show, you can simply go to radiorealty.us. radiorealty.us. We'll post this program later today on that website, so you can listen back to it over and over again. In just a minute, we'll be asking our Blackwater Bend Mind Bender. That's a trivia question. And if you answer it correctly, you'll have an opportunity to pick up a free coffee card. Now, it's not a free cup of coffee. You understand? This is an entire coffee card at Blackwater Bend. And you know what I love about that? You can use it for food. You can use it for anything. And it's free. We're talking about science today. If you missed the opening to the program, it's probably a good thing, because we're all about just in time. You're beautiful. You know what? This is the thing that I pose to you today, and you're welcome to call in, dispute it, agree with me, state your mind, speak your opinion. I believe that you cannot legislate, you cannot regulate beauty. I don't think you can say, by virtue of not having this type of sign, we'll ensure we'll never see an ugly sign in our community. I believe we have a beautiful community. I'll parrot the words of Scott Fraley that at the commission meeting here on the 19th of October, that yes, we have a beautiful community, but we also need to do business here, right? We've got to function. We've got to do business. And I want to share a personal story with you that is important to me, and I'll tell you why it's important. I just hung up on somebody. I apologize. Whoever that was, if you could call back. I inadvertently hung up on a caller, and I feel terrible. So if you could call back right away, 226-3933, we'll get you back on. But my personal story is essentially this. I've been in business here in Homer, Alaska for going on 20 years. My family has been in business here in Homer, Alaska since 1955. In Alaska since 1948, always independent business people since 1948 here in Alaska. I say that because I followed suit with my family, and what I did was in about 1995, I built a commercial building. I spent a great deal of money building the building and about $3,000 in signs. And what we found was one particular winter, and this is a very personal story, and I share it with you I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I don't want you, and I usually don't talk about personal things, but this is one of those times that I think it's important to share something that I went through so you can better understand my position and my empathy and my sympathy towards the plight of small business people all across the community. It was about December 8th. And it had been, when you're self-employed, you wake up unemployed. Big Sign Horse coined that phrase. When you're self-employed, you wake up unemployed every day. And I woke up unemployed that particular month because we were in between paychecks from the galleries and gift shops that we catered to and sold our pottery to. And I'm looking at a couple of beautiful little blonde-headed, blue-eyed girls that know exactly what they want for Christmas. They don't think, they know exactly what they want. And I'm between paychecks. I'm between, I'm unemployed. I'm a self-employed person that's between paychecks. And so basically, we had an idea. Tiffany and I come up with an idea. It's like, how can we do this? And we worked feverishly. We worked night and day, and it took us about a week. We came up with an inventory that we could sell, and we put up a sandwich board sign at the top of Main Street in the bypass that said Pottery Christmas Sale special sale, something like that. And it had an arrow down to our ceramic shop and our pottery shop. And what we did in business in that short period of time not only allowed us to pay for our mortgage that month, but we were also able to fulfill our girls' wishes. So you hear what I'm saying? I'm saying that when you regulate signs and you do something that can be perceived as draconian and you get a knee-jerk reaction from the business community, put yourself in their shoes for just a minute. This is more than just a sign. This is not ExxonMobil looking to put a jack-up rig in the bay. This is a family. This is somebody that is counting on this paycheck. So with that said, folks, enough about that, but I wanted to phrase this such that we could take into consideration the small business person, because it's important, and I don't know that that's been taken into consideration with the city, with this ordinance, and I don't know that the small business voice was heard at the Planning and Zoning Committee. And with me now on line one, we go to Adrian. Hello, Adrian, and welcome to Alaska Matters.
Hi, Chris. Good to hear you today.
Thank you. Thanks for calling in. Now, Adrian Sweeney, you own AJ's Old Town Tavern? Is that what
That's AJ's Old Town Steakhouse and Tavern down here in Old Town.
And the Driftwood Inn. You've got the RV park. You've got a lot going down there. And I have to tell you that I listened to I listened to all of the testimony that was given at the September 7th Planning and Zoning meeting and the October 19th. And I have to say, you were very articulate. I thought you had a lot of good points to say. Do you feel like you were heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I'm torn about that. I think that there were some folks that heard us as small businesses. There was many of us that spoke, and I think that there was some folks that heard us, and I think that there was others that didn't. And I think we were pretty clear that most of the small businesses really do oppose the sign ordinance as it's written. I do think that parts of it are good, for the example, the multiple lots.
Mm-hmm.
If there's multiple buildings on a lot, that there be allowed more allocation for businesses, I think that's great. But
well, absolutely, and I've got to agree with you right there. So I've got 3 points here. One, I think that the Planning and Zoning Commission did something, and the department did something very, very right. They allowed, as you just said, multiple buildings to have each up to 150 square feet. Wonderful. Love it. That's great. That's helping the business people. The missed opportunity, Adrian, that I see was simply removing language about the the sandwich board signs only being able to be up 14 out of 90 days. I see that as a real missed opportunity. And had they just created some very specific language regarding size, location, not more than a certain amount of square feet, etc., and if certainly safety considerations, don't put in egress and ingress ways, don't block rights of ways, etc. I think that just those two changes to that section would have done well. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think if we just change that language to be more pro-business and take out the 14-day and the 90-day period language,
mm-hmm.
I think it would be a very pro-business stance that the city can take, and they can make rules regarding, like you said, the size and the manner that they're displayed.
Right.
Where they're safe.
Because safety, I've never seen one personally. Maybe it's happened. I've never seen one literally obstructing traffic and/or line of sight, and I pay attention to them. I try to. So, well, Adrian, I appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that you took your time to go down and testify and do what you could to have some input there. So, and thanks for calling into the program today.
You bet, absolutely. I'd love to see some more ordinances that are more pro-business. I think that there's a great opportunity to do wayfinder directional signs, work with the state on something like that, maybe do a kiosk up at the top of Homer Hill. I know that there's some vacant windows on Pioneer Avenue. I'm sure that someone would love to rent some window space out to a small business.
Well, that's one thing in your testimony. I do believe that you did what Commissioner Minch asked for, which was present solutions and present ideas. You did that on the 7th of September, and then again on the October 19th, and yet it passed 5-2 or 4-2, whatever it did. It passed with a majority that evening without taking those ideas into consideration. So, well, Adrian, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. Stay tuned in here, and let's take our next call. Thanks again, Adrian. So next, we're going to go to line 2. We've got, is this Scott Fraley?
Yeah, this is Scott.
Hi, Scott. Chris Story. Thanks for calling into Alaska Matters. Hope you're having a good day, Scott. Listen, we've got just a couple minutes here before we go to a break, and I need to do that and say hello to our sponsors. But what's your opinion, Scott? I mean, speak out. This is your opportunity. What do you think about the sign ordinance as it's being presented to the council, and what would you like the council to do about it?
Well, I think it's important for them to make a good effort to listen to the community and to communicate. And they kind of did what they. To me, it felt like they did what they had to. That they had to hold these public hearings, but I didn't really feel like they listened to us. They didn't really, take our thoughts from the first meeting, and I didn't see any evidence really that they took our thoughts by the second public hearing. They changed one thing, and apparently that was some sort of mistake that shouldn't have been in there anyways. And part of the council there didn't even realize it was in there. So. Right.
I noticed that. I listened to that meeting on the 7th of September, and there was, what you're referring to is the signage allowed on the cars, and Commissioner Minch sort of disputed the fact that was not going to be allowed, and then was corrected, and, we'll change it. And I think, to quote her, she even said, well, I've even got signage on my car. So, and I got to say, too, that you elicited a round of applause at one point, and then let's just play the clip from this is from the October 19th Planning and Zoning Committee. Scott Fraley has just finished speaking, and...
Please, not none of that behavior tonight if you keep your applause and things to yourselves.
And the applause was shut down. I don't know if that was... I thought you did a nice job. You were articulate. I think you were speaking your mind. And I felt like the business community was there and expressing themselves. And I was disappointed, Scott, that was shut down at that time. Did that surprise you?
It did. I didn't know how to feel about it. I felt like, we should, it's a public hearing.
Right.
If we're in agreement together, without being disruptive, we should be able to express the fact that we're, in agreement, right. And that's part of a public hearing,
Yeah. Well, Scott, I appreciate your sentiment, and I, too, was applauding you, my friend. I was just listening to the minutes on the audio version, but I was applauding what you said, and I appreciate your efforts, and thanks for calling into Alaska Matters.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're absolutely welcome. Folks, here's our Blackwater Bend Mind Bender question. If you know the answer, call 226-3933. Here's the question. Who is noted as having coined the term sandwich board sign? Who coined the term sandwich board sign according to history? Was it A, Sir Walter Raleigh, B, Charles Dickens, or C, Dale Carnegie? Call 226-3933, 226-3933. Win yourself a free Blackwater Bend coffee card right here. We'll be back on Alaska Matters.
Now that it's colder and darkness has taken over, it's easy to let it get you down. But one thing that really perks me up, how more and more people are lighting up their houses for the holidays, thanks to Christmas Decor by Dutch Boy Landscaping. Dutch Boy makes turning your home or business into a cheery piece of the winter puzzle, minus the hassle of having to find a good spot to base a ladder on ice, battle the elements, or scale that roof. It makes a lot of sense to rely on expert decorators trained in safety and proper installation methods. Christmas Decor offers customized lighting displays, garlands, wreaths, and bows. They can design the display, install it, maintain it. They even take down and clean up when the season's over. So if you've been dreading hauling out boxes and boxes of holiday decorations and the threat to life and limb it entails, maybe it's your year to leave it to Christmas Decor by Dutch Boy Landscaping. Find out more about brightening up your place with professional holiday decorating. Contact Danny at 235-7140. 235-7140. Christmas Decor by Dutch Boy. Call now.
Oh, no. I'm out of water. No problem. Call More and More, your locally owned water supplier. 24-hour service from your locally owned water company. Tired of working with an outside corporation? Want to support local business and get better service for less? Then put More and More to work for you. 235-8837. More and More is next door. 235-8837.
For Radio Realty, I'm Chris Story. In housing news, new home sales are up over 5% in September. Pending home sales are up 11% higher than this time last year. Interest rates are still at record lows. Rural development and VA zero-down loans still available. Inventory's ample. Alaskan home sales are up over this time last year, and median home prices are slightly higher. I just couldn't find any bad news. For all things prosperity, listen to Radio Realty on KPEN 102 FM every Wednesday at 12:30.
Commit this number to memory, 399-1526. When you need snow removal, snow plowing, and sanding this winter, call Richard at 399-1526. Great Wire Construction, locally owned and lifelong Alaskan operated, can take care of all your snow plowing, snow removal, and sanding needs. If you'd like, Richard will deliver sand to your residence for your use when needed. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Great Wire Construction, 399-1526.
You're listening to Alaska Matters. I am Christopher Story. Thanks for joining me today. Before we go back to the phones, I want to repeat the question. Here's your opportunity to win a Blackwater Bend coffee card. Who is noted as having coined the term sandwich board sign? Sir Walter Raleigh, Charles Dickens, or Dale Carnegie? The number 226-3933. 226-3933. Call right now. All right. So where did the Planning Commission go right? I believe, as I said to Adrian earlier, I believe they went right by allowing multiple buildings on one lot, each to have up to 150 square feet, up to, based on their size, of signage. Now, that's on their individual building versus just one for the boardwalk, et cetera, where they have to split up between 10 buildings, 150 square foot allotment. Ridiculous. This was right on. Bravo. I would applaud, if Sharon would let me, I would applaud that, Sharon. By the way, I did invite Sharon on the program, and she declined to be here and said she'd said all she wanted to. She said, I said my piece, that's it. So, having said that, Sharon, I would have applauded that portion of what the Planning and Zoning Commission did. I think a missed opportunity, folks, was, as I said, removing the language about the 14 out of 90 days. That's ridiculous. Who's going to count it? Get rid of that. In this climate, do you know when sandwich boards really went out of vogue? Was just before the Depression. Do you remember when they came back into vogue? Yeah, during the Depression. Why? Because it's a inexpensive, effective way people can get a message out to people and passersby. So it's an effective tool. And to quote Sharon in her piece, she says that she talks about the economy being down. Small businesses are not facing an increasingly hostile environment from the sign ordinance, says Commissioner Minch. They are facing tough times because of the economy. Temporary sandwich board signs from one end of Homer to the other will not save anyone. Well, I couldn't agree more. Of course not. However, if you give a person one opportunity to make a sale, one opportunity to get a message out there, to get one sale that they might otherwise not have had, what's wrong with that? And shouldn't we, if to quote Sharon, harsh economic times here, shouldn't we do whatever possible to make it as easy as possible for people to do business? Create a climate that is pro-business. I sat 4 hours, almost 4 hours yesterday on a statewide conference call. By the way, applause was allowed, number one. When somebody heard something they liked, we're talking about the legislature here. They allowed for applause in this hearing, in this meeting, number one. Number two, it came up time and time again from the legislature, the representatives and the senators that were partaking in this meeting, that they want not to be anti-business. Do not want Alaska to appear anti-business. This is regarding a real estate issue, but point being, we don't want Homer to appear anti-business. And I know there's a lot of different opinions out there, but I got to tell you, the new sign ordinance, here's one big thing I think they did wrong. So what did they do right? They're allowing the multiple buildings. What did they do wrong? Or a missed opportunity was not just dealing with sandwich boards and making them ubiquitous across the board. Let everybody have one as long as they meet the criteria. And third, what did they do wrong? Well, I think, again, removing the sandwich boards altogether was wrong. Reduce the size of political signs. Come on. It's a cycle. We move through, we move out. I've never seen an old political sign hanging around for a long time. I mean, that just doesn't happen. I mean, these guys, if they lose or they win, they want to collect their own signs. They don't leave them out there. Reducing the opportunity of appeal. Here's where I've got a real problem, and I think it speaks to due process. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday that brought this up, and I thought this is really something we better pay attention to. So reducing the appeal process, number one, if you get cited for a violation on your sign, you've got 7 days now. You used to have, right now you have 30. If the new ordinance passes, you'll have 7 days to make your appeal, all right? You used to have 30. The commission will have 60 days to hear the appeal, all right? So if they decline your appeal and say, no, you're out of compliance, right now as it stands, you would then have an opportunity to appeal that to the council acting as a board of adjustment. Well, with this new ordinance, guess what? Guess where you're going? Straight to court. You've got to go to court. Everybody's got to lawyer up and go to Superior Court. And I had a conversation with Rick Aboud this morning, the planning director at the City Homer, and it wasn't really clear as to whose idea it was. I mean, why would we do that? Why would we avoid going to the council as a board of adjustment? Why would everybody involved have to go to get an attorney, including the city? It's not cheap. It's not easy. Just ask Don Blackwell. Now, Don's facing... There's another example, anti-business. Hello, Don's been... don't get me started. That's a whole nother show, folks. I mean, but seriously, do you know how much money a business owner, an entrepreneur like Don Blackwell has spent in court just trying to defend an indefensible position in the city? At one point just gave up and said, you're on your own, Don. We're not doing anything more with this. Why do we, as business owners, have to go to court to get our day in court when simply, pun intended, we could have gone to the council as a board of adjustment? That's something, if you go to testify in front of the council, if they do bring this up and they do have some public hearings, talk about that. Talk about due process. Be sure that we're not limited in that process, because I think that's a huge mistake. And here's another mistake, and this is wrong. To limit banners, I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. We don't want the community looking like trash, but I agree with Scott Fraley. It's never going to. This is a beautiful community, and if we want to do something, let's start with Louis Lagoon out on the spit. Let's start with that hideous pile of garbage that I know some people, is a sort of a tourist attraction out there, the Cousins Place, but there's a lot of other things we could do, folks, besides limiting small business in a time, to quote Sharon Minch, the economic downturn. So we definitely don't want to do that. We've got Peter Nagel on the line. He's a caller here. Hello, Peter.
Hey, how are you today, Chris?
Loving your accent. Welcome to Alaska Matters, Peter Nagel. All right, Peter, so the sign ordinance is being amended. It's not new law yet. It's just an advisory commission. They've made their opinion to the council known. They may take it up, they may not. What are your thoughts on this, Peter?
Well, I support Dan Coe fully. Dan is a friend of mine who actually is a sign maker. He's made signs for me in the past on my businesses out on the spit. And obviously the idea of a 7-day appeal is designed to specifically avert due process. You hit it absolutely on the head. And this is a phenomenon happening all throughout the business sphere, where due process is being curtailed and we're being steamrolled. On the larger picture, on the macro picture, you could argue that we're being deindustrialized in our nation throughout the Western world. This is a phenomenon happening from Australia all the way to Western Europe. So, yes, how does it hit us here in Homer is that they try and basically make our businesses disappear. By taking away signs, they actually take away our existence. You cease to exist as a business when you don't have a sign.
Well, and Peter, you had a business. You don't currently, I don't believe, but you had a business on the spit. And were signs and sandwich board signs, were they fundamental in getting the message out for your business? Did you find it more difficult to...
Well, on the spit, as you know, Chris, a sign can be maneuvered. The spit is something of a fluid zone. Mm-hmm. And so you can move signs here and there to fit the workable application of what you might be doing. So signs are a must for the spit. Sandwich signs in particular. Are they dangerous? Not in the slightest. In fact, signs by their nature are meant to be stared at. They're meant to grab your attention. And as such, people are not going to roll over them or stumble into them and break a leg. Dan Coe called the emergency room and said, do you have any instances of anyone who've been injured?
Yeah.
While so you know the story, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's you know, and here's the fun thing, Peter. I don't know if you knew this, but it was actually Charles Dickens who coined the phrase sandwich board signs. And sandwich board signs date back to as early as 1660.
Wow, I as Johnny Carson would say, I did not know that.
Yeah, you sounded just like him, too, if he had come from England. And so, I don't know. We're not going to solve this today, are we, Peter, on Alaska Matter? We're not. But you agree, I think, I'm hearing you agree, that this is or could be perceived as anti-business, and really they ought to take a look at some of this language in here and some of the restrictions.
It is expressly anti-business.
Yeah.
It is expressly. If you look at the committees, the subcommittees, all of the task force, and all of the multiple groups that meet here, there's a grabbing of power in our town, even by Homer standards, is excessive.
Well,
people want to interfere and get their hands on business.
Well, here's the deal, and I'm reading from Sharon Minch's piece. It says, what it comes down to is deciding the role signs play. And I got to tell you, I think signs play a big part in the health of an economy. We don't have billboards. We don't want billboards. We don't have big, flashy, gaudy, nasty signs. We've got, and I'll tell you, you can have a legal sign that can be butt ugly. You know, there is no guarantee that just because you follow the new rules, the old rules, that you're going to have a beautiful artistic sign. It all comes down to just doing business and helping people, and I don't think we need to throw roadblocks up. Peter, you agree?
Absolutely. The free market takes care of this. No one's going to put a cheesy sign out there. We don't need any ordinance telling us how to do our signs.
I agree. Peter, I got to go. I appreciate you calling in. Remember, we're here every week. You can always come back, and thank you for your opinions, Peter.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much for calling. I want to thank everybody who called in today. This is a big deal. This is not something that's just, like I said, we're not going to solve it in 30 minutes. I did. Personally, I believe that my opinion is what I've written out here, and I'm going to put it out on the blog. You can call council members. I encourage you, please, right now, call your council members and let them know due process is being hindered here, if not violated. And I've got a 3-point proposal. It's going to be out at radiorealty.us. 3 points. It's so simple. Didn't take 6 months to calculate. It's really all about supporting your local business people right now, supporting your business owners, and that's what we do here at Alaska Matters. I want to thank John Cookless. He's our winner today of the Blackwater Bend Mind Bender. I want to thank all of our sponsors. Dave Webb, thanks for engineering the program. Adrian, Scott, Peter, everybody else that called in. We didn't have time to put you up. I apologize. We'll be back next Tuesday right here on Alaska Matters, because you know what? Alaska does matter. And Peter brings up a good point. We're seeing a global event here, a global presentation of business, and it's something that can hit us right here at home. And remember, it's affecting somebody's pocketbook, and those somebody have children, and they're contributors to your community. I really appreciate your time. Alaska Matters are matters of importance.
Peninsula's home for unforgettable favorites. Great listening, 620 AM, KGTL, Homer.